Hello, friends. How are you? Happy Wednesday. Man, isn't it nice? Mother Nature turned the heater on, turned the wind off, turned the fan off, and summer's in full effect. As we wind down the month of June, things are moving quickly. The Stanley Cup has been awarded, and we're that much closer to the NHL entry draft, where the Montreal Canadiens, at long last, right, will announce their pick on July 7th. So we are now a week and a half away, 1 week from tomorrow, and we get finally the results of what the Montreal Canadiens are doing. Speaking to TSN hockey insider Darren Dreger on the TSN 690 Morning Show with yours truly and Simon Salikas, we asked Darren whether or not today, at this very moment in time, in his opinion, does he believe the Montreal Canadiens have an announcement and a decision already made? Do they know right now, at this very moment in time, who they're going to select on July 7th with the number one pick? I do not believe the Montreal Canadiens are in the business of trading this pick. I would be more than shocked if that actually turned into a reality. The question is, what do they do? Do they go with Shane Wright? Do they go with the good two-way center that's been the projected number one for the better part of 3 seasons? Or do they go with Slafkovsky, the kid who scored 7 goals in the Olympics, the kid whose regular season in Liga wasn't all that good, but he is a behemoth of an individual. This young man is 6'4", 220. Can you imagine a world in which Slafkovsky is on a wing with Nick Suzuki at center and Cole Caulfield on the other side? So the question is, as a Montreal Canadiens fan, do you want this team to draft because the position at center has been weak for arguably our respective lifetimes? Or do you want the Montreal Canadiens to draft with the vision being assembling, creating a legitimate, feared number one line featuring Suzuki, Caulfield, and this kid Slafkovsky? That's the debate. And I'm going to believe Darren Dreger when he says with his credible opinion that the Montreal Canadiens, as it stands right now, don't have their minds made up. As a matter of fact, apparently they grilled Shane Wright over dinner in Buffalo after they went through the process. And apparently it was not uncomfortable, but interesting, which got me to think, right, like, if you're asking all these questions, and we've all been there before, like if you've ever driven across the border, you know that the border guards and the border agents are looking for a reaction out of you, right? So they try to catch you off guard with a bizarre question, right? Like, for example, they might not ask you as you go to the border agent, where are you going, mister? They might say, have you ever been before a judge before? Like a quick question, just what? See how you react. And they base their next move based on your reaction. So, like, part of me was thinking, like, they're taking Shane Wright out for dinner to Buffalo. Like, what if Shane Wright orders like a side that is unconventional, right? Like, you ever been to Baton Rouge? You know, they offer like baked potato, French fries, mash, or sometimes they offer like cinnamon apples. Like, what if Shane Wright said, yeah, I'm going to go with the cinnamon apples? Is that like a massive red flag? Like, who is this guy? Cinnamon apples with a half a rack of ribs? Who orders that combination? Or maybe it goes the other way. Maybe they look how confident this guy is in his decisions. He goes against the grain and is comfortable doing so. Like, you know, I'm obviously kidding around, but they ask all these bizarre questions just to get a reaction out of you. So here's where I come down on the Montreal Canadiens draft. I go center. Lock me in. Final answer. I'm done. I'm ready to go with Shane Wright, the wonderful two-way center who averaged about 1.5 points per game with Kingston in the Canadian Hockey League last year. Brian Wild did a great job early this morning on Twitter, kind of breaking down the comps, breaking down Slafkovsky, breaking down the fact that Bob McKenzie surveyed 10 scouts. 5 of them said they would pick Slafkovsky over Shane Wright. Bob also mentioned in the aftermath that he could pull 10 other people and get the result that favors Shane Wright. So we're talking about splitting hairs. We're talking about a percent of a percent of a percent in terms of drafting Slafkovsky or going with Shane Wright. So Slafkovsky in Liga, 2 goals in 18 games. Apparently his regular season wasn't that strong. The sample size versus the bigger size with Shane Wright, and the fact that for me, you know, a Canadian kid as the projected number one, that is such an interesting place to be with all the pressure, the magnifying glass. Everybody has eyes on you. You know, you're the headline guy every single game in junior hockey, and you still deliver. You know, that's not nothing in my opinion. And the fact that the Montreal Canadiens have been void at center for the better part of 30 years here, no disrespect intended to the great Saku Koivu, but the reality is the reality. Montreal Canadiens have never had a bona fide number one center. I think Nick Suzuki is that guy. And you talk about a nice looking 1-2 punch with the possibility of Suzuki and Shane Wright for the next 8 to 10 years. Man, oh man, that's not bad. And if we factor in at that point now dollars and cents with Shane Wright coming in on a rookie contract, and if that's the case, obviously speaking. So, like, there's a lot of boxes to check for the right reasons. And so that's where I'm coming from. And I think, when you look at other guys that played in Liga, Brian Wild brought out some comps, and you look at Capo Caco and everything he did, and the New York Rangers draft him. Capo Caco hasn't lived up to the expectation. And so there is that kind of like a little sense of I don't know, a little bit worried. So lock me in, CHL, Shane Wright. I want the Montreal Canadiens to draft the center, and let's move forward with that. Interesting times, no doubt, and I'm very anxious to see what the Canadiens do and what the reaction is going to be like, because it's all about who we want, right? So one of us is going to be wrong. One of us is going to be upset because we're going to think the Montreal Canadiens don't know what the hell they're doing because they didn't pick the guy we thought they should have picked for whatever the reason may be. So I think we're going to get a sense early on of what the trust level is like now with this fan base, with the new front office. Because remember, like Marc Bergevin's almost 10-year run at the helm of the Montreal Canadiens ship, we remember who they drafted with his first ever pick, top 3, right? They go with Alex Galchenyuk. Doesn't work. Nail Yakupov didn't work either. He went number 1 overall. Fast forward, down the road, Montreal Canadiens once again find themselves in a top 3 draft position. Who do they draft? Jesperi Kotkaniemi. Doesn't really work. Obviously, he gets qualified and goes out to Carolina, and the rest is history. So I don't think Ken Hughes or Jeff Gordon think about Marc Bergevin and his front office going 0 for 2 with top 3 picks during the better part of 10 years. I think for them, they know themselves for their own legacy and for their own future run at the helm of the Montreal Canadiens that they just can't be wrong. They can't swing and miss. The Montreal Canadiens can't go 0 for 3 in 10 years with 3 top 3 picks. They just can't do it. No team survives this. No team delivers consistency. No team delivers championships if we're talking about going this bad for this long and whiffing with top 3 picks. So lots of pressure. All eyes on Jeff Gordon and Ken Hughes to see what they do next. Interesting day yesterday, I thought, on Twitter when I quote tweeted Mike Chambers, who covers the Colorado Avalanche for the Denver Post. Mike Chambers tweeted out 2 pictures. One of him with a member of the Colorado Avalanche, Gabriel Landeskog, and another of him by himself with a cigar and the Stanley Cup raised over his head. And so when I saw this online yesterday, my first reaction was, whoa, oh boy. And so like anybody else, you click on the comments, you want to see what the reaction is like. And I found it fascinating for this one simple aspect. The old guard media hated it with a passion. You can go on my Twitter page. You can read the back and forth between Richard Labbé, myself, the Gazette's Stu Cowan. And look, I don't want to, poke at these guys and go after these guys because they're not here to defend themselves. So I don't think that's entirely fair. But I find it interesting that the logic is picky and choosy, right? Like there are some guys that are journalists that cover the team on the daily, and they often defer to the former players, right? So like you'll have a panel filled with former NHL players. And for example, like Andrei Vasilevsky, when Vasilevsky was getting pumped on Saturday night in the Stanley Cup final remember the 7-0 drubbing in game 2? And there was a debate about why would Vasilevsky play the third period? John Cooper has to pull this guy. And so the former NHL pros, I think Mark Messier was there, I think Chris Chelios was there. They're like, no, it's not how it goes. And, a couple of reporters just said, hey, I'm not going to go against what arguably the greatest leader in hockey has said. There's an award named after Mark Messier, for Christ's sake, or Chris Chelios. These are captains. These are Stanley Cup winners. These are great first ballot Hall of Famers, legitimate Hall of Famers. And so the logic is I'm not going to disagree with them because they know more than I. They're credible. They're champs. They're leaders. Everybody respects them. But when Gabriel Landeskog has a personal relationship with a guy who covers the team, and my argument is, well, the player wants it, and then I apply their logic to that scenario, it doesn't equate to me. So it's kind of, to be frank, bullshit. But nevertheless, it really is old school versus new school. And so I think Mike Chambers' biggest mistake was posting the picture on Twitter. I think if I were in that position, and I think we have to, if we're going to have a really good argument about this and a good debate about this, you have to put yourself in the exact position Chambers was in, okay? The exact position. Not that you're a play-by-play guy, not that you're a fan. No, you're a beat reporter who's had a personal relationship with the captain of the team for years. And you're in the room with other media people. Your peers are in the same room as you. And Gabriel Landeskog comes up to you and says, in this hypothetical, because I wasn't there, I don't know how it went down. Mike, we did it. Mike, we did it. Dude, here's a cigar. Here's the Stanley Cup. Mike, we did it. I can't believe it. I'm a Stanley Cup champ, Mike. I'm so happy. Celebrate with me. Here's a cigar and here's the cup. What do you do in that situation? What do you do? Like, I've spoken to a whole bunch of my media friends off the record, off microphone, in studio today. I want to do it. I want to do it. I want to do it. Okay, I'm not going to call you a liar. But I don't think everybody is being truthful. Like, put yourself in that position. I'm Mike Chambers. I'm on the road. I've been covering this team. I have a personal relationship, hypothetically, with Shea Weber, the captain of the Montreal Canadiens. And Shea comes up to me with a cigar and the Stanley Cup, and you say thanks, but no thanks, Shea. Wow, that's incredible to me. And while you're super professional, and I respect your commitment to the profession, ultimately, I think you're super uncool. Anytime a dude comes up to you in a celebratory way with a cigar and the trophy that they won in the league and wants you to be a part of the celebration, you say, thank you, it's an honor, I'm blessed to be here. That's how it works in my head. But I'll tell you this, I wouldn't post a picture. No way. No way am I posting that picture. No way. Obviously, Mike Chambers is very confident, in his career and where he's at with the Denver Post. But the old media guard absolutely shredded this guy. And I'm just not there. Dude, it's the Stanley Cup. We have this phenomenon in Canada. I love the Stanley Cup. I've wanted to win it since I was a little boy. I'm sure a lot of you relate to that statement. But it's a Stanley Cup, guys, and the team won it. And it's not like Mike Chambers saw the cup unattended, no player was touching it, said, oh my God, here's my chance with the cup, finally, at long last. No, it's not how it worked. Gabriel Landeskog, the captain of the team, said, here, I want you to celebrate with me, And people are just losing their minds, man. People just lose their minds over this stuff, So that's I think, the big difference between Canada hockey culture and, let's say, like the Americans, right? So, like, in the United States, the equivalent to the NHL for them, is the National Football League. You watch ESPN? Do you watch Fox Sports? Do you see some of the personalities that make millions of dollars as talking heads? You ever see Stephen A. Smith wear a Philadelphia Eagles jersey? You're damn right. You ever hear Michael Wilbon profess his love for the Bears? Or Tony Kornheiser for the New York Knicks? Or Mike Greenberg of ESPN for the New York Jets? And on and on and on and on and on it goes. I'm in the sports business because I've been a sports fan my entire life. And because I talk into a microphone, because a few times I've had a press pass, it doesn't change the fact that I'm still a sports fan at the end of the day. And I've never shied away. I am a Montreal Canadiens fan, and I have been my whole life, and that will never change. Patrick Roy was my favorite player. I always said, when Patrick Roy gets traded, the team he gets traded to is my new favorite team. No, I was lying. I was full of shit. Never happened. I am country over party first. I am team over player second, right? So, like, that's where I'm at. As much as I love Patrick Roy, he's my favorite goaltender of all, favorite player in the history of the game. Montreal Canadiens trump how much I admire and respect Patrick Roy as an athlete. Full stop. That's just how my brain is wired as a sports fan. So, I love sports. I will always love sports. I will always be a fan. But, doing this job for 20 years, I'm very confident and comfortable in my own skin to tell you that when the Montreal Canadiens play like dogs, I will be on the radio the next morning telling you they played like dogs. And when the Montreal Canadiens get to the Stanley Cup final, I will be happy. And I will tell you that I'm happy because that's my team in my town. I don't think it changes my opinions. I pride myself, and you may disagree. You may not even like me on the radio, and that's okay. Then you're not watching, so it doesn't matter. I pride myself on calling it down the middle. Every time. I mean that. So I just have a fundamental disagreement with some of the old school tactics. It's okay to evolve. It's okay to move on. And so I'll leave you with that, okay? Looking for some best bets today. Just because I despise Greg Norman and the LIV Golf Tour doesn't mean we're not going to play it. Abraham Answer, one of the guys that has jumped over there in Portland, they're playing a Pumpkin Ridge Golf Course, 36-hole combination. Look, I mean, we're getting 12-1 on Abraham Answer, who's been pretty good. He's a smart player, strategic player, hits a lot of greens in regulation. And right now, I think we're talking about a guy who is very motivated to make his mark. So a 12-1 Abraham Answer at Pumpkin Ridge in North Plains, Oregon, about an hour outside of Portland. It's a city populated by 3,400 people, and they're a little bit worried about the protests for LIV Golf. So it'll be interesting to see. On the PGA Tour side of things, this is a good one. It's a weak field. The John Deere Classic. I love Adam Hadwin in this spot. He T7 at the U.S. Open. He gained strokes on pretty much everybody in the field. He's had 5 top 10 finishes, and so because it's a bit of a weak field, I think we got a good spot here with Adam Hadwin and another guy who's been putting much better than we've seen previously. So a little bit of momentum, I guess, for some of us to build on. And as far as Major League Baseball is concerned tonight, the Braves over the Phillies. We gave you the total yesterday that hit right on the money, and the Dodgers to redeem themselves. They got shut out by the Rockies a couple days ago. So we're going to back the Dodgers at 840 tonight, minus a run and a half over Colorado. So though a few of my best bets, just to recap, if you're joining us, Adam Hadwin to win the John Deere, Abraham Answer to win on the LIV Tour. We're backing the Braves over the Phillies, and the Dodgers minus a run and a half over the Colorado Rockies. They're playing in Colorado, by the way. Thanks as always to my sponsors, Ash Gregoire, Shaman and Nissan, and K-Stop Gas Bar and Depiner Highway 138 in Ganawage. Stop paying premium prices for premium fuel. You can get premium fuel at discount prices and save a bunch on the taxes, including the best Depiner snack selection in Quebec. Right now, Highway 138 in Ganawage, it's like 2 lights after the Mercier Bridge. So if you're in the Chateauguay, La Prairie, Candiac, Beauharnois, LaSalle, Lachine area, head on over to Mercier Bridge, baby. It's free and clear. Easy peasy. Highway 138, stick on Highway 138 right in Ganawage. It is K-Stop Gas Bar and Depiner, Highway 138. Tell them In the Car with Star sent you.